Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is your call to celebration. And welcome to the Center of Universal Light. I'm Senior Minister and Co-Founder, Reverend Arvel Bird. It's good to see you all here this morning.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
The Center of Universal Light is a unique interspiritual community in which we celebrate life, Mother Earth, and spirituality through a rich diversity of ancient and contemporary wisdom, practices, and traditions. Through music, message, and mantras, we combine old and new ideas to introduce practical teachings that encourage others to follow their own spiritual paths. But the main reason Kimberly and I are here in this community is to share with you and to lead this gathering of people into something that we may have never experienced before, and that is true community. Beyond the superficial varieties that you may have experienced in other religious organizations and groups, it is possible for people like us who come from different backgrounds, different religious traditions, to come together and form long-lasting relationships, to form a community of strength, of caring, of love, of devotion, and commitment. But the success of our experiment here is not on Kimberly and I, because we are the champions of this community. The success lies with you and your willingness to let go, empty out of yourself, if even temporarily, that which stands between you and the true community. Last week was a challenging week for me. As many of you know, I was rushed to the emergency room early Tuesday morning with acute abdominal pain. It turned out to be pancreatitis. They diagnosed it quickly, and the tests revealed it conclusively. But they don't know why I got it, and the AMA has no cure for it presently. I didn't fit the medical profile, and I didn't fit the metaphysical profile for pancreatitis. So I guess you could say I'm just lucky to be alive, and I'm lucky to be here with you this morning. Maybe it was just the old cosmic two-by-four hitting me up, not the side of the head this time, but right in the gut. It was a punch, I'll tell you that. And I'd like to thank all the prayers that were offered by people here in this congregation and throughout the world. Especially from the people that came to visit me or call me. It felt good being on the receiving end of prayers. As I listened to the prayers of Judith Roden, who was a chaplain for alcohol and drug abuse, and Rabbi Bernie, and of course Caitlin Flynn, Reverend Caitlin Flynn. These prayers definitely lifted my spirit. And I know Nanda spent a lot of time with the Father praying for me. So because of that hospital stay, I missed the first ever Circle of Connection small group meeting in Studio B last Wednesday. I have been preparing for that night with great interest because this monthly gathering we will become the core members of CUL. I have high hopes for this group, this open group, open to anyone, but especially the members of this congregation. And I was so proud of Reverend Kimberly, who said, "I'll lead it. It's too important to be missed." That's the kind of leadership that exists in this group. We're just modeling it for you. This is not a gathering of people who follow a leader. This is a gathering of leaders who are willing to stand in their own power and act within their own greatness. To lead from that greatness. So remember that. I also missed the second Women's March yesterday in Sedona. But is anyone here today that marched yesterday? I wish you would all stand, please, and let us acknowledge you and honor you. Give a bigger round of applause. Come on, let's get you something. Thank you. It is women like you that are going to carry this planet into the fifth dimension. And it is us men who must be there to support you.
There were a lot of men in the march.
I'm glad to hear that there were a lot of men in the march. I'm glad to hear that. That means that the men are coming together now and standing in the divine masculine. I've told you before that as a man among men, my purpose is to serve the goddess. That is the goddess of the planet Earth, that is the goddess in each of you here. And the more men that come into this realization, the more balance that will be brought to planet Earth.
Let's all say together our vision statement. At the center of the universal light, I am. I am the divine consciousness that dwells within. I am the eternal oneness with all that is. I am the unconditional love of the universal light. And our mission statement, please.
Our purpose.
Our purpose statement, I'm sorry. At the center of universal light, we hold the space for ourselves and others to receive healing, love, and support in time of transformation through music, message, and mantras. Okay, everybody have a seat, please. Nanda is the leader of our prayer chaplains, so I'm going to ask her to give our daily word today, and it's something we look forward to every Sunday morning.
I look forward to.
Oh, good.
The word for today is world peace. I put my glasses on. I discovered I didn't do that. That's better. I hold a vision of peace for the entire world. I am only one person in a vast and complex world. I sometimes feel helpless in the face of global tensions and conflict as I read or hear reports about the world's challenges. Do I have the time, wisdom, or personal resources to make a difference? Spiritual truth is much simpler than the complicated confusion in my mortal mind. I take a moment to be still and to envision a world at peace on every continent, in every nation, in every heart. Holding the vision may be all I can do in the moment, but it is more than enough. I hold this vision not as a hope, but as an intention, confident in the oneness that underlies every appearance of separation and discord. And from the beautiful words from Romans 15:13, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. The word for today is world peace.
Aho. Thank you, Nanda.
Thank you, Nanda.
Now we need a volunteer from our congregation today to read the Earth Prayer.
While we find a volunteer, I want to ask all the healers to please stand up. If you are a Reiki healer, massage therapist, spiritual healer, just please stand up so we can acknowledge you. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Actually, every one of you are healers, but you may not know it yet. But thank you very much. If you need a healing after the service today, please stay in here and meet with one of our healers. Some of them are visitors, but I'm sure if you talk nice to them, they might help you. But I mean, really, that's what they do, right? So we appreciate that, and thank you very much for your service to your community.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am a feather in the bright sky. I am the blue horse that runs on the plain. I am the fish that rolls shining in the water. I am the shadow that follows the child. I am the evening light, the luster of meadows. I am an eagle playing in the wind. I am a cluster of bright bees. I am the Father's star. I am the cold of the dawn. I am the roaring of the rain. I am the glitter on the crust of the snow. I am the long track of the moon on a lake. I am a flame of 4 colors. I am a deer standing in the dust. I am a field of samat, and I do not know this word, but it's white something. So I'm going to picture a white buffalo. I am an angel, an angle of geese in the winter sky. I am the hunger of a young wolf. You see, I am alive. We are alive. We stand in good relations to the earth. We stand in good relation to the gods. We stand in good relations to all that is beautiful. We stand in good relations to all the daughters of the earth and to the ones that marched for feminine peace and the men that marched with them. You see, we are alive, and thank you, Lord. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Good morning.
Good. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Before I start my message this morning, I wanted to introduce you to a little bit of the mantra that we use in Naam Yoga. And it fits right in with your mission statement and everything else that happens here at Center of Universal Light. And we sing I am in Naam Yoga almost every day as a way for ourselves to connect to the divine source that lives within us, the divine that oozes out of every pore, the love that created us, the love that created every human being around us. And so when we sing I am, it's a way for us to become centered, to find balance, and to allow all of the other false perceptions that we may have about ourselves to fall away. So if that's okay, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. We do it with mudra, which is hand posturing, which either directs or redirects energy in the body to create light. And so this morning, if you would, interlace all of your fingers, and then you extend your pinkies up, you extend your index fingers up, and then you extend your thumbs up. The church in the steeple, yes. That's right, it's just upside down. This is I love you in sign language. When we bring our hands together like this is I love myself. And so this is a mudra for self-love and self-acceptance. And anytime you're feeling disconnected from yourself, or you're feeling a little bit unworthy today, that happens to us, right? We feel like we're not enough on some days. This is a very instantaneous way, within 1 minute, it connects you to the source of all that is. So we're going to use this and sing I am, if that's okay. Yes? All right. So we're going to bring this to our heart center. You're going to close your eyes for a moment. You're going to take a deep inhale through your nose. Exhale from the mouth. And then inhale again. Exhale. And internally say to yourself, I am a miracle. I am divine. I am completely loved. I am perfect, just the way I am. I am. Take another inhale. Exhale again. And internally say I am, and follow it with one word of your choice that best describes you today. Be positive, be kind, be loving to yourself. And we sing I am, I am. 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 Exhale. And then just shake your hands out a little bit. Good. How do you feel? Okay? Great. Okay. So Arvel asked me to come up, and when somebody asks me what's your message, that's a hard one for me. It's always the same. It's that I am love, that you are love, that's our truth. I teach what's called Naam Yoga, Naam means the word, and the word means love in our tradition. And everything that we teach, everything that we sing, everything that we do is from a space of love and from a space of unconditional love. And so our message today is to awaken to your truth, to remember that you are love. And my journey started when I was 3 years old, and I have a very distinct memory, and it's very vivid, of falling into a lake. My father and I were fishing, and my mom was on the edge of the lake, and I fell in. And I remember being in the water like it was yesterday, and looking up and seeing my mom completely freaking out, and my dad getting ready to jump in, and me thinking, what is all the fun? And I remember feeling like I was being held and being spoken to, and that I was being told that I was just okay, and that if I could just breathe, that my perception of what I believe the divine to be had me, was never going to let me go. And I remember telling my parents that story about 5 or 6 years later, and my mom thought I was crazy, and my mom said, well, you can talk to God, but God doesn't talk to you. And I remember thinking, that's not true at all. I hear him all the time. I hear the voice and I feel it in every pore of my body. And I think that we can speak to him and that he hears us because we're made of that love, right? We exist from that space of love. So why can't I have a conversation? And why am I being told that I'm crazy for thinking that I hear back? And then years passed, and I was raised Irish, Italian, Catholic.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm glad that's a joke in of itself, because I find it funny too. When I say it, it sounds like, oh dear God, I hope that you were okay. And, right, so, and if anyone knows anything about being Irish and Italian, there's a lot of passion and a lot of passion. And it comes out as loud words and throwing shoes. And so, I'm here today. I lived through it, thank God, right? And so, I have amazing parents. I have a dad that believes that everything's interconnected and everything is one. And I have a mom who's very traditionally Catholic. And so growing up in this household was interesting and had many interesting conversations. But I was told my whole life that the connection that I felt that I had very naturally wasn't natural at all. And I was taught to hide it, and I was taught to not speak about it. I got into a lot of trouble in Catholic school because I asked a lot of questions. Why? Explain to me why, because that makes no sense to me what you're telling me. If in one sentence you're telling me that the divine created me from love, he's all forgiving, all knowing, we're all the same, then how come certain people can't come to my church? And then how come I'm going to be put into a place of eternal damnation? This makes no sense to me. So I questioned a lot and got kicked out a lot. So, and if you know anything about me, that makes me feel good. So, that I didn't fit in. But I grew up not fitting in. And I, interestingly enough, chose to go to Catholic grade school, Catholic high school, Catholic college, and Catholic grad school. And I did that by choice because I thought, after I got to decide for myself, I thought I'm going to prove them all wrong. So my job was to stay in it and prove them wrong, that it's in everything and it's all the same. So fast forward to when I was 23 years old, I was in a very dark place of my life. I had cut off my connection. It was easier to deny it and easier to not listen because it meant I wasn't going to be made fun of, or I wasn't going to be spoken about behind closed doors, or my family wasn't going to treat me differently. My family treated me differently sometimes. And I ended up in a very dark hole. I have bipolar, and I was in a very bad depression when I was 23 and tried to hurt myself, and I was anorexic and I was abusing drugs. And so a friend of mine asked if she could take me to see a Catholic priest, and I thought, oh dear God, this is not the answer, you know, and And I said, I don't think that's the right place for me. And she said, no, trust me, he's different. He's young, he's European. And I thought, European, great, okay. So I was used to very American Irish priests. So I went, kicking and screaming, and I told him how I felt about what I called God, and how I felt every night that I was spoken to, and how I knew in my heart that I was the same as he, that I had every possibility within me to create whatever I wanted, and I could manifest anything I wanted. And I constantly heard him talking to me, and I was ready for the straitjacket to be brought out, and the cross and the exorcism, right? I was ready. And he said, I'll be right back. And I thought, oh no, here it comes, right? They're gonna like put me in the middle of the church and throw holy water on me. And I'm gonna light on fire is what's gonna happen. And that's not what happened. He walked back in the room. He was 32 at the time. And he walked back in the room and he handed me this book. And the book's title was God is a Verb. And the book was written by a Jewish rabbi, and it was a book on the Kabbalah. I knew nothing about it. And he said, I'm asking that you go home and read this book. You won't understand half of it, it's in Hebrew. But you should read it cover to cover, and then come back and let me know what happened. And I remember opening the book and reading the first 2 pages and thought, this is what I'm talking about. This connection, this knowing that light oozes from every pore of my body, that my purpose here on this planet is to make a difference through loving people unconditionally, not by judging them, not by making them feel less than. My purpose is to be all that I can be, because that's what I was created to be. And I read the book and I went back and I was like, I don't know what it meant, but I know how I feel after I read it. Even speaking Hebrew, I didn't know how to speak Hebrew at the time. And so he said, the Kabbalah, as the word, the Kabbalah means to receive. The purpose of the Kabbalah is to open up your heart and receive the light and the love that is your divine birthright at every moment of every day. When you receive, when you're open to receive, nothing gets in your way. You're never unworthy. You're never not enough. You're always enough. Actually, you're more than enough when you open up your heart and let you receive the light that's yours. So that's my Kabbalah story. I proceeded to walk through my life and change my entire life and start reading everything I can up on the Kabbalah and start trying to find the place that I fit in. I was Jewish for a little while. I was Buddhist for a little while. I was Sikh for a little while. I was everything you could possibly imagine, and nothing ever felt right. And then I fell back into a depression again when I was about 30 deep, where I didn't leave the house for 2 weeks. And a friend of mine showed up and said, I'm going to take you to this yoga class. And I said, not another yoga class. I teach yoga 5 days a week. I can't go to another yoga class. And she said, no, this is different. And I went to this yoga class in New York City. I'm from New York. And when we got to the space was 2 doors down from where I worked every day of the week. And I had never seen it in my life. And the center was called the Universal Force Healing Center. And I walked in and we sat down and I thought we were going to do yoga, right? Like pose yoga. And this man sat up on the stage. He opened up his mouth and said, God lives within all of us. We are all the same. We are all the same. Each one of us is the I am principle living. We are the expression of the I am. And we're going to sing I am. That's why I open with it every time. It was my introduction to Naam Yoga. And as soon as that mantra started playing, I cry every time. As soon as the mantra started playing, I started to cry uncontrollably. And I cried for 3 hours. The class was 3 hours long, by the way. And every song was like that, one after the other after the other. And I wasn't crying because I was sad. I was crying because I had come home. And I remembered again what I remembered when I was 3. That it never leaves me. That it never leaves you. That nothing anybody can ever say to us would change the light within us. That you telling me I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, will never change how I feel about me. I love myself. And because of that, I walked out of there, became a Naam Yoga Therapist, and I have a center now in Mesa, this is what we teach. So my message was for today to awaken to your truth. When we awaken to our truth, when we remember who we are, there's not a word on this planet that can stop you. You can do anything you set your mind to. Everything is possible. You are the champion of your life. You're no longer a victim of your life. When you forget who you are, you become a victim of your life. Yes, you make decisions from the space of lack, of I'm not enough. Maybe they won't listen to me. Who am I that they would listen to me? And you do things in life trying to prove that you're enough constantly, right? We prove all day long that we're enough. We'll defend our point in an argument just to feel right. We keep going back to school so that we can gain more education to feel like we're enough, we're smart enough, we're intelligent enough. But at the end of the day, the hole you're always trying to fill, you've cut yourself off from your own connection. There is no hole to fill. Nothing on the outside of you can fill that hole. The hole was created by you, because the hole is the separation of you and the divine. If you decide that you aren't a part of every living thing today, then part of you will die. You've cut yourself off from the source of all creation. If you cut yourself off from the source of all creation, you're not fully living. If you're not fully living, you're only part of your potential. If you're only living part of your potential, you're not doing what you were sent here to do. And what you're sent here to do is shine your light so brightly that it affects other people around you so that they feel comfortable enough to let their own light shine as well. Right? If I just walk around and love everyone, I might be met all day long with, oh my God, you don't know me, get away, don't hug me, I have a thing, I don't like to be touched. You know, you don't know me, you can't love me. Someone once told me that. I said, I love you. You don't know me. How can you love me? That's crazy. You're ridiculous. I said, well, I may be ridiculous. I think I am most of the time. However, what I know to be true is that I love you. You don't have to prove to me that you're worthy of love. What I know is that I can see you. You exist. You were created from the source that created me. I love you. It's unconditional in my world. There's nothing you ever have to say or do back to me. You can tell me I'm crazy and walk away, and I will still love you when you're gone. And so I naturally call people my love when I meet them. It's pretty common. And one time in my life, I was dating someone, and he got very, very angry with this. He said, why are you calling all these people you've never met my love? I'm your love. I am the only love. And I went, that's crazy. And he said, why are you calling people my love? And I never thought about it before. It didn't occur to me that I did it. I do it quite naturally. And I just blurted out, because that's what they are. How are you telling me I can't call them the one thing that they are? Because if I call them love, if I call you love, then all of the other things that you think about yourself that are not true fall away. They have to. Darkness cannot exist where there is light. Love is light. If I love you, I'm causing some of the darkness to fall away from you. If you love each other, you're causing some of the darkness in someone else's life to fall away. Maybe you're the one thing today that caused them brightness. Maybe the one word out of your mouth, I love you, caused them to feel good about themselves. Maybe they were contemplating something horrible. And maybe because you walked into their life and said, I love you, without any strings attached, without wanting a reward for it, without wanting to be praised, maybe they decided that life was worth living. So I would like you to turn to the person to your left or right and tell them that you love them.
Feels good. So say it.
It's not so hard, right? It's not so hard.
I love you, Nicole!
I love you back. There are some people here from Mesa, Arizona that know me really well. Like Arvel said, I brought my entourage. I didn't actually bring them, they followed me. I couldn't stop them, so you think they get enough of me. Some of them see me 6 days a week. Yes, they're with me 6 days a week, some of them 7. And I would think, God, you'd have to be tired of me now, you know. And I tell bad jokes and things like that. Yeah, I was going to tell a joke today, but I've changed my mind. Anyway, there's this thing that we call in Naam Yoga, we call it fierce remembrance. Fierce remembrance is when you're kind of catapulted into the truth. That means that life has given you what we call a bad shake, yes, or I call them lessons. They're a blessing and a lesson combined. And so it always looks a little bit dark. But in the end, after you've had time to process and think about it, it was actually a blessing, and it was saving you from something that could have been a lot worse. So we have this thing called fierce remembrance. It's when life kicks you in the arse, yeah? And so, and when that happens, you can decide to act one of 2 ways. You can decide to be grateful for the opportunity that came to cause growth. Or you can fight against it and cause more opportunities that will come to cause growth. The thing that you resist comes back 100-fold if you haven't noticed already in life. So if you meet everything with kindness, gratitude, and love, the universe rewards you with kindness, gratitude, and love. If I meet things in life with anger, frustration, and why is this happening to me, I get more examples of anger, frustration, and love, and why is this happening with me? There's a saying that anybody that causes you to be frustrated or upset or angry is there to teach you patience, right? I have a lot of them in my life. I haven't mastered that lesson yet, and so I get very internally impatient sometimes when I think things shouldn't be going the way I think they should be going, right? That Irish Catholic thing is, yes, we are right, and we like to be right, and we think we could save civilization just by being Irish. But then man created whiskey, and then the whole thing fell apart. So that didn't work out well for us. Anyway, every time something happens to you that could be perceived as dark or as negative, my message today would be to ask yourself, can I find gratitude in this? Can I say thank you to the universe, because I must have needed to learn something. And the lesson in all of it, every negative experience that we have, the lesson in every one of them, they may look different, but the lesson is to remember who you are. Those lessons come because we forgot who we are, and those lessons come so that the veil can be lifted, and that there is no separation between you and the divine anymore, because you're an outward living expression of it constantly, every day of the week, every moment of the day, and it's never going to change. So, I'm asking that every time something negative happens, you say, thank you. Thank you so much, because I must have needed that today. And I love myself enough to sit with it and figure out how I separated myself from you. Thank you so much. Because any darkness in life occurs because we've separated ourselves from the light that gives life to everything, right? There's constant light. The sun never stops shining, even when you cannot see it. It shines infinitely. It gives life to everything on the planet. If it ever stopped, life would cease. You have to be like the sun when you live. You have to shine and love yourself constantly and love each other constantly. You know, there's a lot of times people say, You're too much. You're a lot to take in. You know, that's a lot of energy going into me. Like, I love you. And I always tell my students to, if somebody tells you you're too much or your light's shining too brightly, tell them to buy a pair of sunglasses. But never change who you are. Don't ever dim your light for anyone else. Why would you do that? If someone's uncomfortable with your light, it's because you are showing them what they could be, and it's very uncomfortable for somebody to look internally at themselves and to think, I might have to change. Change is not easy. It's difficult. It was hard for me to come here today. I'm going to admit that. I don't like change, right? I sit on a stage at my studio. That's why I'm sitting here, because it makes me feel comfortable and in my own space. But I'm always in my own community, and change is hard for me. So I came here because I love Arvel dearly. With my whole heart, I love him. And I would do anything that he asked me to do here. So I had to come up and get over that fear, right, of change, and stepping outside of my comfort zone and trusting that I am who I am, and you'll either like me or you won't. And if you like me, fantastic, and if you don't, fantastic too. I'm still going to leave and go home and be me, right? So, and I'll still love you. You can come up and tell me, oh my God, don't ever come back. What is this? And then I'll come back and sit in the back, and I'll just stare at you from behind. No, I'm just joking. I'm not a stalker. Although if you want me to be one for you, I will. I am for some of my students, you know, constant reminder of you are enough. Stop saying that to yourself. Why are you saying that you're too much? Why are you telling me that you can't do something? You can do anything you want. There's no such thing as can't. There's I can, I am, and I will. Yes? So that's what we need to live by. Yes? Good? We're good. We're going to do a meditation, however. And this meditation, there are 8 little words, and the words are Rama, Dasa, Sase, Soham. And the mantra's translation is Sun, Moon, Earth, Infinity, I am that. I am the totality of everything that was ever created in this universe. It lies within me. It is not an outside force that influences me. It's me. I have control of my life. I can do anything I want. Yes, God is a living expression, and I am the outward expression of creation. I'm it. So we're going to do Ramadasa, if that's okay. Is that okay? Yes. Great. So I'm going to show you a technique. Anytime one of those blessings comes into your life, we have this meditation that we do that dissolves the darkness. Powerful, it's instantaneous. You can put a human being in there in this meditation. Like if the person is your blessing, then you can put the person in and put light around them, and then the conflict is resolved between you. So we're going to take our hands and we're going to take them at least 6 inches apart from each other. Okay? Now when we do this, we're creating what's called the middle pillar, which means the light from above is coming down into this earthly existence, and it's shedding light on anything that's dark. So when we put our hands like this, you are to put whatever your challenge is at the moment in your life in between your hands. You don't have to do anything else, just see the challenge, the obstacle, the problem, the blessing, the human that's come to teach you patience or forgiveness. And see that thing surrounded in light, the brightest light that you can possibly imagine. See it surrounded in love. Send love to that situation, the problem, the challenge. Take an inhale. Exhale from the mouth. Good. Inhale again. Exhale. Good. Keep sending love and light to the thing that you decided to put in the pillar of light. And just for 1 minute, we're going to send love and light to it. And then we'll sing Rama, Dasa, Sase, Soham. Inhale, and we sing Ramadasa. Rama Dasa Sase At your very best, healthy, happy, whole, healed. Exhale. Inhale again. Hold your breath and see your life filled with joy. See yourself surrounded by love and support. See yourself nurtured. Exhale. And to resolve that issue we put in between our hands, repeat after me, so be it. So it is.
So it is.
Done.
It is done.
Beautiful. Thank you.